I don't see anybody on the. Ahmed, can you check if is anybody is here?
Didn't start in. Oh no.
Okay. On the Ahmed, can you check if
It's
welcome everyone. My name is Dr. Mushtaq Miman. My background is internal medicine, family medicine. You are welcome. We are having this live webinar session where we have standby psychiatrist, Dr. Hasan Miraj, who has 15 years of clinical psychiatry experience. He specialized in addiction and geriatric medicine. As you know, MCMC had created about 10 physicians joined together and made a medical committee to help aware the community. And this is one of the session we conducting today. So this live session will be regarding the topic coronavirus and virus on the mind. And anyone who has a question can type their question, and all the questions, the names will be anonymous. Um, so let's, I guess nobody is here so far. Um, Dr. Miraj, you on?
Inshallah, Assalamu alaikum. We'll inshallah start with the recitation of Holy Quran. Uh, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Kul huwallahu ahad, Allahu samad, lam yalid, wa lam yulad, wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. Jazakallah, Dr. Mushtaq, for moderating this live webinar. So basically, the medical committee of the MCMC thought that we should do some exercise about the mental stress that the community and other people may be undergoing because of this coronavirus pandemic. So as Dr. Mushtaq said, it's a half an hour webinar live with question answer sessions, and you can be anonymous asking question, and we can go from there. But we are talking about the issues related, mental stress or anxiety, or kind of some people are in depression for economic reasons, for social reasons, for uh, other reasons which has caused this pandemic. But you can ask other questions related to mental health. I am also I have a specialization in addiction psychiatry and geriatric psychiatry. So, Dr. Mushtaq.
Dr. Miraj, we have a question. How to control anxiety in this current situation of pandemic coronavirus, when we have economic loss, people are getting sick. So the one of the brother asked question, how to control anxiety.
So, brother, assalamu alaikum. Anxiety is basically a healthy response to any stress. People who don't develop anxiety when they are in stress, that's not normal. And the purpose, and this is a natural phenomena Allah Ta'ala has developed, that whenever you're in stress, you develop some anxiety. Because when people become anxious, they are motivated to do something. Then the anxiety makes them to do something, to take some action, to move forward, to take some planning, to do many things in it. But if this anxiety becomes overwhelming, or this anxiety becomes to such a great extent that it stops your functions, then it is a problem. And in that case, if anxiety is so overwhelming that people may get panic attacks, or they cannot function where they should function, then it becomes a problem. So, normal anxiety. The question how to control anxiety. So, there are two aspects. One is the spiritual aspect, being Muslims, and the other is, of course, the medical aspects. In medicine, medically speaking, there are two ways to do it. As a physician, as a doctor, we do psychotherapy and we do medications. But of course, these are when you go to a doctor or you go to a psychotherapist. But how to control anxiety while being at home, while being with family, we have to develop some skills. I mean, basically, we have to develop mental exercises in which we can convince ourselves that there are many things which are happening. So, whenever there's anxiety, you have to know why the anxiety is coming. And when you know it is the coronavirus, which is a health related issue, we go and work according to that. As we all know that there are certain recommendations by the physicians to do. When we act on those activities, washing hand, mask, isolating, we tell ourselves that we are doing what is being recommended. And these recommendations are made to produce a result. So that gives you a satisfying feeling that you are doing which will be helpful. And this is recommended by experts. So you feel safe when you act on an action plan. And for example, this coronavirus, the action plan should be, first of all, as we said, stay home, don't do things which are needed. And then when you do all those things, you feel better. And you feel to understand that I am safer than others who are not doing it. So it's kind of a thinking process. Then, there are many things which can be implemented, like one is called mindfulness, where you focus on something, uh, on one thing, and you do not look around other aspects of the things, in which you focus that what is being done at this time and where is I am succeeding. As long as you see that you're doing the right things, you feel success and you feel motivated when you are feeling successful. So these are a few things that you can do to control your anxiety. Then there are certain physical things you can do. Breathing exercises. Very simple. You can just sit down, take deep breaths, long breaths, and you will feel relaxed. Because when the oxygen goes in, that helps the brain and other things to relax. Relaxation of the muscles, that is also very important. And when you take deep breaths or relax down, you feel less anxiety. There are certain things, for example, some people do visualization, which means that people focus on a very enormous, powerful object or a thing. As Muslims, the most powerful object or identity is Allah. So you visualize Allah, and when you visualize Allah, you feel very satisfied, you feel being helped. Uh, Other things like meditation can be done. There's something called autogenics, which means that you basically try to uh, uh, train your mind and body to listen to your verbal commands. For example, you command yourself, don't be anxious. But this is something which needs more exercise and more other things. So, uh, some people will control anxiety, others won't. There are psychotherapists who help in anxiety. There are medications, very good medications these days, which are available. But this anxiety is in general, and that does not need medication treatment at this time. There's a lot of exercises like, thought stopping, self hypnosis, live senses, how live lenses, which means that how do you perceive the life, the lenses of your life. If you think negative through the lens of your life, you will feel negative. If you see positivity, you feel positive. So I hope you feel something better.
Yeah, we don't have the question, but I would like to ask. I'm sure it is commonly discussed in the communities and job situation. There's a recommendation of hand washing. Um, what is normal and what is OCD, the psychiatric condition? How would you how far we can hand wash, and what is abnormal? I know it's a little bit difficult question, but if you can
No,
differentiate, yeah.
No, it is good that you're talking about a condition which is actually very common and people suffer from it, which is called OCD. So OCD is basically obsessive compulsive disorder, which means that the person who suffers from OCD has thoughts which are coming into the mind again and again, repeatedly, and very fast. And until unless he does an action, he those thoughts don't stop. He doesn't feel relaxed. Those thoughts keep on bothering him to the extent that he gets irritated and upset. But there is something he has to do physically to stop those thoughts. So people who have OCD, for example, they check their doors in the night 10 times because the thoughts are coming to their mind in which they have to go and check the door. If they don't check the door, they become very anxious and very frustrated and very irritated. Some people have to, wash hands. They are germophobics, which means that they feel the thoughts come that they have germs on their hand or there are germs all around. And until unless they wash their hands like 10 times in an hour, which can really destroy the skin of the hand, they will not relax. So basically, the person needs relaxation. And to achieve that relaxation, he has to perform a ritual. He has to perform something physical. Until unless he does it, he will not be relaxed. In the context of coronavirus, I mean, I would not say to become OCD. You don't wash 10 times in an hour, but obviously, the recommendation is to wash, I would say, at least once in 2, 3 hours, and whenever needed. So, if a person who suffers from OCD, well, OCD is part of an anxiety disorder. Those who are anxious have OCD traits, and vice versa. But coronavirus OCD may be a little better because that can save life. So those who may develop a little OCD with coronavirus, washing hands, it may be life saving. So I'm not recommending, but I'm not stopping it altogether.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Miraj. Now, I have a question. One brother is asking, how do you do thought stopping? How can you block your thoughts? So,
Right. So, I mean, thought blocking, as I said, in OCD, this is a problem that the thoughts keep on coming and it is very difficult to block them. There are a few things you can do. I mean, we have medications now also which block your thoughts which you don't want, unwanted thoughts, or the thoughts which are making you uncomfortable. But things which you can do while being at home is number one, to divert your attention. If the thoughts are coming, you can divert your attention by, I mean, it's a very common sense thing. You can watch TV, you can start making a telephone call to your friend, you can engage with your family members, you can start cooking, you can involve yourself in certain things which will divert your attention. uh, there so that is one thing you can do. You can also meditate, and where you focus on one thing which is away from the thoughts. If the thoughts are about something specific, you take an opposite thing and you start thinking about that particular thing, particular positive things. You may start, if the thoughts are coming for whatever subject, you can start thinking about Hajj, you can start thinking about your friend, or you can focus on something else which is separate from them. That will also take away some of your obsessive thoughts. Um, you can start doing some exercises which can physically affect and take away your coming thoughts. But again, it's not easy. It's easier said than done. And people who have a strong thought behavior like OCD behavior, it is not easy. It needs sometimes help from the psychiatrist or from the psychotherapist.
so I just want to remind viewers that anybody who's watching this program, feel free to ask question. Their names will be anonymous. Yeah, and then now, yeah, I received one question. one brother asked, in a stressful situation and crisis, listening Quran recitation is more soothing than reading. What is your thought on this?
Alhamdulillah, I'm a Muslim, and I come to MCMC, so I share your thought. Definitely, Quran is the best and superior uh, thing to do.
You know, I since nobody is asking questions, so
Yeah, I do you want I want to say a few things which I thought would be very good in this
actually,
concept.
what I'm thinking, you are thinking same way. So I want to ask, in this terrible situation and condition, and throughout the world, uh,
Hmm.
people are losing jobs, people uh,
Right,
losing lives, and they're along with, as you described, anxiety. You gave a lot of good opinions and recommendation. If somebody is feeling depressed with all this, how would you cope with the situation? Since we're waiting from the,
right,
from the
right. Yeah, depression, I mean, some depression is without a reason, and some depressions are obviously with a reason. Now, if somebody has in this situation lost a job, then obviously one reason of depression is because he's fearful of the coronavirus infection, and the other situation which he is facing is that he has lost a job. So I mean, it's again a normal reaction for somebody to become depressed if he's losing a job or he's in a fearful situation. So these so in that situation, uh, I mean, there are thought processes which you can exercise. For example, you can look into uh, something called as CBD, which is called cognitive behavioral therapy, in which you try. I mean, it's a whole big subject, and people specialize, but just to say in few words, CBD teaches you how to look to an issue in a positive way. So, for example, if somebody lost job in this pandemic, has become depressed, then obviously that is a loss. And I'm not saying that you can ignore that loss, but then you can look in a cognitive way, in a mental way, what could be the positive aspect of, not being in the job. And that would tell you that, of course, you are looking for a job, you want a job, but then not being in a job has its own few merits. For example, you are at home, you are with the family, you are not spending money in traveling, you are not engaged with people in the job who put you under stress, you are not with colleagues you don't like, you don't have to listen to a boss which you don't like. So it's a cognitive behavior therapy in which you try to look into an aspect, and then you feel better. Of course, until unless you get a job, you may still feel the pinch.
Thank you, Doctor. We don't have any questions. We can go ahead, and you want to.
Yeah. So I just wanted to say one thing. You see, as a Muslim, also, we believe that everything comes from Allah, and our success and our, failure is not actually our success and failure, but it is the destiny written by Allah. So Islam gives a very beautiful concept of this thing compared to the capitalistic or Western society, where people fail in life and people are successful in life. And those, because I'm a psychiatrist and I see people who come to me in depression and anxiety because they're failing in life, they're failing in their job, they're failing in their relationships, and vice versa, and they blame themselves, they become guilty, and they go into a cycle of depression. But in Islam says that if you're failing, if you have done your best, it's not your fault. It is the destiny from Allah. And then you do sabr, you do shukr, and if you achieve, you achieve success, and you do shukr. So in either case, in Islam, whether you obviously in worldly affairs fail or succeed, it is not your fault. You don't feel guilty. You do not go into a cycle of depression. So that is a good concept. I always try to think about it. The sabr and shukr. Those who get, they do shukr. Those who don't get do sabr, and that relieves both all of us. Um,
We have
And
11 minutes to go. I mean, I guess if the question comes, we can extend a little bit, but we have
okay,
to go.
few
Uh,
minutes.
yeah.
Yeah. So, in this environment of coronavirus pandemic, where people are scared of their life, people are losing their jobs, people are separated. It is it's a situation where um, uh, many of us have never imagined, and most of the people have never experienced. So it's something very new, and we are all facing this. And so to we are going into lockdown. For example, lockdown. We are in lockdown, which is causing problems. You can't get out, you can't socialize, you can't exercise. But you see, there are many things which are not under lockdown. For example, you know hope is not under lockdown. Love is not under lockdown. Learning is not under lockdown. Praying is not under lockdown. These are the things which are not locked down. You can still do these. Spreading kindness is not under lockdown. In this time of crisis, when there is a general crisis in the society, doing something for others, trying to help something for others, will give you a sense of achievement, will give you a sense of being a positive participant in this crisis. So I would suggest, people just don't sit and worry about things. Get up, do whatever you can do as a positive participant of this crisis, helping other in one way or the other. In New York, there is young people have developed a society or organization called Invisible Hands, and they are helping poor neighbors or poor community members, delivering their food, and they're delivering their other things. And now there are 8,000 volunteers in this. So, in this time of crisis, there are many things you cannot do. There are many things not under your control. So, just becoming depressed, thinking about them would not help. Get up, do something for yourself, do something for others, and hopefully the time will pass.
Thank you, Dr. Hasan Miraj. I will just remind again the community members or whoever is logged in MCMC YouTube. Your names will not be mentioned. It's anonymous. You can ask questions. Um, um, I would say, a medical point of view, that very good suggestion, advice from Dr. Hasan Miraj. Keep doing good work. Occupy yourself. Distract from having wrong thoughts, and help the community. Do remember your God many times. Help your brothers, sisters for their education, for um, advices, help elderly in your neighbor, but make sure that you follow the recommendations, 6 feet apart, wash your hands, and help as much as you can. Um, there a question came to me, not from the community, but that how do you cope? I'm sure you have already mentioned very good advices about um, um anxiety and coping with the anxiety depression. How do you cope with death of a family member and not being able to go to janaza or funeral, um, and not able to see or comfort um, the family members? I'm sure it's a difficult question, but see.
Yeah, it is. It's a very difficult situation for a family member not being able to go to the janaza. I mean, in the context of what is going on in this pandemic, in certain situations, family members were not allowed to go to the burial, or they did not wanted to go on their own. But those who were not allowed, it creates a great distress, a great stress on them. I mean, a normal death of a loved one puts a person or family member into bereavement. And bereavement in psychiatry is a time period which extends up to 6 months, in which uh, the family member who has lost somebody can even hear the voices of the dead person, or the other family member. They can really be very depressed, very down, very frustrating, and that is called a bereavement period. And again, that is a natural reaction. And in psychiatry, we really do not treat these people with medications or any aggressive therapy for first 6 months. We just console them. So coping with uh, not going to janaza, again, first of all, uh, there are several things in our life which are not under our control. As a human being, as you can see, we have all kind of military, we have nuclear submarines, we landed on the moon, but we have become helpless in front of a little virus who does not speaks, we can't see. So humans are so helpless. So there are many things which are not under our control. So when things are not under your control, there were certain circumstances in which you were somebody was unable to go to the janaza of a loved one. That is something not can be blamed on yourself, because what happened is it is called survival guilt, that you survived, that person died, and you could not go to the janaza, and you feel guilty that probably it may be your fault that you did not even go to the janaza. But when the things are not under your control, it is not your fault, it is not your guilt. And and as a Muslim, we believe that Allah Ta'ala controls everything, and and we leave it to Allah, who decides what to do. But to be depressed, to be crying, to be missing, it's very normal, very natural, very expected. And to stop all these feelings is even worse and dangerous. So in our medical psychiatric sciences, you know there are other family members, they come together, they grieve together, they support each other, they listen to each other, they remember the lost one. And in this matter, in a team way, you cope with the incident that has happened. Not going to the janaza is very, very specific question that you have asked, and that is, a big add on to only to those people who have lost one. So I think so. I mean, it is very distressful. It's not an easy answer. It's not an easy coping mechanism that will save you from that. But obviously, as I said, there are things not under our control, and when things are not under our control, we can't do except suffer.
The question just came. What would you advise for someone who's diagnosed with COVID? I mean, it's positive virus. How to cope mentally?
Again, again, a very dreadful situation these days. You know, um, uh, I would say, you see, this is also related medically. So anybody who's diagnosed with COVID must understand that not everybody who's COVID diagnosed will die. So it is the fear of death, basically. Anybody who's diagnosed with COVID, we all go through flu symptoms. Nobody's scared of flu symptoms. But the COVID, it has become a symbol of death. But medically speaking, we know that the world population is how much? Is 6.7 billion, right? 7.5 billion. And how many people in the world are infected? The ratio is very less, if you see that. Same, how many have been infected and how many have died? So if somebody is infected, first of all, he should understand that it is not a death warrant. Most and majority of people will get out of it, will survive. Yes, there are few people who are dying, and majority of them are, again, elderly with comorbidities. There are definitely people who are younger and who are a victim of it. But the majority are not. So first of all, if somebody is diagnosed with COVID, he must understand that that does not mean death. And secondly, we also understand that there are all kinds of efforts are being made to help people who are COVID positive. There are hospitals. We know the situations are not good, but you do your best and you try your best, and whatever is the best available, you try to get it. And one more thing in life, don't try to do more than the best, because then you can't do, you will fall. So you, first of all, you are, this does not mean everybody is going to die. Secondly, there is a high percentage of chances that you will recover. Thirdly, there is doctors available, there are hospitals available, there are recommendations available, and you follow them. And again, at the end, you have to understand that not everything is under our control. And finally, everything is controlled by Allah. So you pray, you ask Allah to help, and this is how somebody can get some relief if somebody is diagnosed with COVID.
Yeah, thank you very much. Very good advice. Again, will suggest that a person who, as a physical doctor, I would take good nutrition during this time and then fight the infection, and inshallah, it will help. So now we reach the time limit. Dr. Miraj, you wanted to.
Yeah, yeah, at the end, I would like to uh, there is a nasheed or a naat which I heard few days back, and it is very helpful. It is very motivating. It gives you hope, and I will just put it on from my cell phone, and you can listen to that. Jazakallah. Studio 5, an Islamic record label. Can you hear?
Yeah, if you can bring the speaker closer to your laptop mic.
Can you hear?
It's if you bring closer, inshallah. No,
Dr. Mushtaq, can you hear?
sound got muffled, so
Huh?
it's good now. The sound is muffled again, so
Muffled? Okay.
now it's better.
Maybe it's a cell phone connection. So inshallah, jazakallah, Dr. Mushtaq, for helping to moderate this.
Thank you very much. Just want to remind the viewers that we will be conducting these kind of webinar as time comes medically, and if Dr. Miraj happy to help again. We made
Sure.
after Ramadan last year to make our community aware health-wise. Um, Feel free to reach out to MCMC if you have any suggestions for this. Um, and also look for more emails regarding those health awareness sessions. We're happy to help community as we can. Jazakallah khair. I will end this program now. Thanks.
Inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. मैं बंद करूं? किधर से बंद करूं? Stop. You can stop it here. Stop. Whatever, we do your best. That's all. That's not bad. So, अच्छा तो इसमें सुनाओ YouTube में कैसा है बंद हो गया खत्म हो गया यार